Hello, this is James Bourgeois, and this is chapter 23 and 24 from Everybody Writes by Anne Handley. And so in chapter 23, Add Another Sense, the author urges writers to reach outside of what we simply observe to describe something. And with that being said, a good example is a news reporter, and such as the picture is shown with cars. Instead of simply saying the cars are loud, you could say the exhaust is loud, the honking is of the horns, or the exhaust. And so with that, it adds a layer of complexity and just a little more something for the audience to grab onto and to become a little more interested in the story. In Charlotte's Web, the author provides one of the best examples for engaging multiple senses. So with that being said, Charlotte's Web, and so Handley did say that this was her favorite book because it provides a lot of these examples. So such as, and the two key ones are the cricket song of Goodbye to Summer. As we all know, bugs in the summertime, and then in the fall, a lot of them usually die out because it gets too cold. And then the anxiety of the maple tree had felt for autumn arriving. Kind of similar to a kid, I'd say, being excited to go to Disney World or something of that sort. And with that, it shows how the author it provided a little more and just a deeper insight as to what the characters were feeling, and allowed us audience to really submerge um, into the story. So next in chapter 24, and add obvious structure to a list. The author starts out with the task of reviewing her friend's writing, and in doing so, she knows two very big red flags. So the author went on to review, and the first red flag came up for her, and that was the chronological order of the inventions were off. It shows first rockets, and when in that list, it would actually be the radio. And so with that, even though it seems like something small, as an author, it is massive and so that could cause you to lose your reader, and it could potentially make the main idea of what you're trying to get across. It could make it go astray. And the second red flag is too many off-topic facts. Um, so in there, it discusses rockets and submarines, and when in actuality, the main point of the excerpt is talking about how we hold on to old traditional writing styles that are just outdated. And so instead of the audience kind of ends up seeing this and thinking, oh, what a great idea, they're going to ask themselves, so how old are rockets? How old are submarines? And it just trails away from what the author is actually trying to get across, and that's why she lists it as one of the main issues. And so next, kind of expound on the previous slide. So this slide will emphasize on how she wanted to make it known to make sure you have a list of things and aim to always add the obvious structure. Because naturally, without order present in the writing, our brains will scramble around to try to make order out of the disorder. And the start is the obvious, so make the list chronological. So it shows a progression and allows an easy timeline and for the reader to follow. The second is to use more commonly known markers of time. Like if you're discussing a major event in the story, you could suggest maybe a president if you're talking about the United States, or a war, or something that is kind of a major bookmark, and that common people will know. And exchange listed items for items that will resonate. And again, kind of to tail off what I just said, and provide something for the audience to grab onto and hold onto. And so it provides them a little more context. And that will conclude my presentation on chapter 23 and 24. I learned a lot in reading these two chapters, and I hope you did as well.